Alright, how you guys doing? Welcome to What If Hisoka Was in a Chimera Ant arc, Hunter x Hunter. Hisoka has been desperately chasing after Chrollo to fight him after helping exercise his nen, allowing Chrollo to regain his powers. While Chrollo leaves no traces or any clues for Hisoka to follow, one day Hisoka meets with Illumi. Illumi asks Hisoka, "What have you been doing all this time?" Hisoka responds by saying, "I've been chasing after Chrollo." Illumi says to Hisoka, "Still obsessed with fighting Chrollo, huh? You know, Hisoka, a lot has been going on in the world during the time you've been chasing Chrollo. My grandpa mentioned that hunters are fighting very strong man-eating ants." "Ants? Very strong, you say?" Hisoka responds, "Yes, maybe you should postpone your chase after Chrollo and fight these ants in the meantime." Illumi continued to explain about these ant monsters and tells Hisoka that his grandpa would be helping Chairman Netero in the fight against these ants. Hearing that, Hisoka got interested in fighting these ant monsters, and so Hisoka heads to NGL. Hisoka arrives there. While Hisoka is walking towards the border of NGL, there he is spotted by Cheetu, who had left the nest of the ants after the queen's death to become the Speed King, and he had devoured the humans at the border. Cheetu runs over to Hisoka and asks him, "Who are you?" While Hisoka, as soon as he saw Cheetu, thought, "This must be one of those ants." Hisoka responds by saying, "It's not important for me to introduce myself to a monster, especially to one who's going to die." Cheetu, annoyed by Hisoka's words, prepared to attack him, while Hisoka activates his aura, making Cheetu to stop halfway and take one step back. Cheetu says to himself, "This guy is different, I need to be careful." Cheetu runs around in circles at a very high speed close to Hisoka and then tries to punch him, but Hisoka with his sharp senses dodges, punches Cheetu and attaches to his leg his bungee gum. Cheetu immediately understands the difference in power and tries to run. In that second, he is pushed back by Hisoka's ability, and Hisoka says, "My bungee gum possesses the ability of both rubber and gum." Trying to fight being pushed towards Hisoka, Cheetu, enraged, activates his aura, which surprises Hisoka for a mere second, and Cheetu creates his arrow ability and fires it towards Hisoka. In that moment, Hisoka dodges his arrow, which he could see clearly, and throws at Cheetu his Nen-powered cards, and they all hit in Cheetu's head, leaving him dead on the ground. Hisoka is not satisfied and he is disappointed with this low-level opponent, so he goes inside NGL where he would find some ants dead on the ground, while some other ants would attack Hisoka, but not even as close to even scratching him, as they were low-level soldiers. Hisoka spots the ant nest, and on the way going there he fights a squadron leader who hadn't left NGL and interrogates the ant before killing it. Hisoka finds out everything about the queen, the royal guards, and that the king had been born. This got Hisoka thinking, if mere squadron leaders had some fighting capacity, imagine the royal guards, or even better, the king himself. Hisoka heads to East Gortao and goes inside the border, while the king and his royal guards had already begun the selection process. Hisoka could see the guards around the villages and cities being controlled with Nen, and he concluded that a very strong Nen user could have the capacity of controlling so many soldiers. This got Hisoka excited. While walking to an empty village where he could only see blood all over, Hisoka runs into Killua. Killua is very surprised, and Killua asks Hisoka, "What are you doing here, Hisoka?" And Hisoka responds and says, "Just satisfying my curiosity and enjoying myself." Hisoka asks Killua if Gon is with him. Killua nods. After learning that, Hisoka tells Killua that he has matured quite a bit. Killua explains in short about their journey to Hisoka, how powerful the ants are, and finally he asks Hisoka if he wants to join them to fight the ants. Hisoka makes it clear that he prefers moving alone, and he has no intention in joining them like he did in Grid Island. Hisoka leaves, and so he begins the hunt. And so finally the palace invasion began, but before leaving Nov's dimension, Killua says to Gon, "Gon, I didn't want to tell you, but Hisoka is here in East Gortao." Gon gets very surprised and says, "Hisoka is here?" Netero and Zeno fall from the sky. Zeno activates his dragon dive, causing Pito to release his N and attack. Netero attacks and sends Pito kilometers away. Everything goes the same. The team launches the assault from the point Nov set below the stairs. Shoot fights Youpi and gets defeated, while Knuckles saves Shoot from getting killed by Youpi and challenges Youpi up front. Knuckle continues fighting Youpi, but Youpi is beating the hell out of Knuckle. In the meanwhile, Hisoka had found the palace by following the citizens of the East Gortao, who had been invited in the palace by the Supreme leader, who in reality was controlled by Cheetu. Netero had left to fight the king, and Gon had left with Cheetu. Youpi activates its enraged explosion ability against Knuckle, which caused a huge explosion in the area, and so that's where Hisoka went. Youpi had fought Knuckle, but he wasn't damaged one single bit, while Knuckle had deep damage and had barely survived Youpi's attack. In the moment that Youpi is about to finish Knuckle, he is saved by Hisoka's shoe-powered cards, which had been thrown straight at Youpi but had barely scratched him. Youpi immediately shifted his attention to Hisoka. He is surprised while Hisoka walks toward him, and Hisoka says, "My, aren't you a strong one?" In Hisoka's eyes, he was above 100 points, but that didn't faze Hisoka one single bit. It didn't scare him. Rather, it got him even more excited. In that moment, Hisoka released a large amount of aura. Youpi says to Hisoka in an angry tone, "Are you one of his friends? In that case, you're dying with him." In his centaur form, Youpi charges at Hisoka and tries to slay him with his blade, but Hisoka, having superior agility, dodges the attack and kicks him very hard, making Youpi even angrier. Hisoka provokes him and says, "What's wrong? Is that all you got, little ant?" Hisoka charges at Youpi while Youpi reverses back to his metamorphosis mode, swinging his arms quickly, making it hard even for Hisoka to dodge, but Hisoka quickly managed to throw in some cards with high accuracy into Youpi's eyes, leaving some of them damaged. This was part 1 of What If Hisoka Was in Hunter x Hunter Chimera Ant. If this video gets 10 likes, I'll do part 2. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next Hunter x Hunter video.